So, what is the best option for mobile internet while you're RVing and boating?
What is the best option for mobile internet while you're RVing and boating?
What is the best option? Okay, so it's redundancy. It's having multiple options. So we're going to talk about why one single option on the road is probably not going to meet it for most of us.
You need more than one.
Hi there, I'm Cherie.
And I'm Chris.
And we run the Mobile Internet Resource Center, where we track and educate on mobile internet options for RVers and boaters. And we're often asked, well, just tell me what the one single best option is that I can get.
And well, the reason we focus on options is because there is not one single best option that works everywhere all the time. And people who try to focus on just having a single internet connection often end up very, very disappointed. So it really, really helps to have a backup plan, and maybe a backup plan for your backup plan, and so on and so on, having more redundant ways to keep connected.
Now, the best option for mobile internet is the one that works at your current location, at the current time, that meets your current needs. And those are three variables that can change quite a bit from hour to hour, day to day. We're nomads. We're going to be changing locations. So we're going to go over some of the things that can go wrong with a single connection to make it unreliable, and why you might want to have other options. And the first is coverage and signal strength.
Now, this is something that varies so much. There is no carrier that has universal best coverage across the country. And then particularly when then you start to factor in the satellite providers, well, they might have universal coverage, but they have things that would interfere with that coverage, or, we'll cover those more later. So there's no one option that has universal, will work everywhere coverage coming down.
Heck, cellular signal, even within the same campground, can vary from one loop to the next. So you might get great signal here, but you go to a site on the other side of the campground and you might get weak signal on the same carrier. That's how variable cellular signal can be. And a lot of things can impact your performance, from the equipment you're carrying, the antennas you're using, and of course, the signal strength in your current location.
Now, one of the big things that does cause those variations in coverage as you travel around is obstacles. It's the stuff between you and the cell tower, or the stuff between you and the satellite, or the stuff between you and the Wi-Fi access point at a campground or marina. Physical obstacles can wreak havoc on a signal, and that can change so much. Just moving out from behind a hill, or under the shadow of trees, or behind a building or you might have a big giant metal RV park next to you that is wreaking havoc on the signal that is actually reaching you. So sometimes even just small moves can make significant changes.
And weather can sometimes become an obstacle that can interfere with wireless signals. So at any given time, any of those can impact your performance. Next is congestion, and cellular, Wi-Fi, and satellite all suffer from it. When you get too many people using the limited spectrum and bandwidth in an area from one access point, well, it slows down for everyone.
Yeah, think of it like a traffic jam, and as the highways get super trafficked and congested, one particular carrier might completely fall down. As basically there's accidents on the side of the road, the shoulder gets blocked, everything grinds to a halt. But the next highway over, the next carrier might not be having any issues whatsoever. So being able to basically switch to your alternate route, switch to take a detour and get on a different way, sometimes can get you out of that stuck traffic jam and onto an expressway.
And congestion can be very variable throughout the day. You might notice it more like in the evenings when everyone's back home after exploring and they're all streaming Netflix and Hulu or doing FaceTime calls with friends and family. That will slow down a network much more when you might be trying to surf the web at 3 a.m. when no one else is online.
Yes. Yeah, that's a sure sign of congestion. If it works great in the middle of the night but not during the day, you're experiencing congestion. Signal strength is not the issue.
All right, then your data plan can have issues. You might run into data caps that might cause your speeds to be throttled down to a set amount of speed, or you might get to what they call network management or unpriority data. So you reach a certain threshold, and now when there is congestion, you're subject to further slowdowns than someone who is not on that.
Now, once you've crossed your network management threshold, you are basically at the back of the line as the network gets congested. So yeah, somebody who's got the exact same carrier as you and even the exact same plan as you, right next to you using the exact same thing, they might have much, much better speeds and experience if they have not crossed into that managed threshold. But late at night, after there's no more congestion, you'll both have great speeds. So that is a very important thing to be aware of.
And other issues with your data plan might happen, like you might have a payment issue that your payment didn't go through correctly and your plan gets suspended or cut off. Or if you're dealing with one of the third-party resellers of plans, they might lose access to the plan and then suddenly you're offline until you can find a backup option.
Have backups.
All right, equipment failures. So your own equipment might not work anymore. Something might have physically happened to it. Maybe it got dropped. Maybe there was a bad firmware update. Maybe a connector or a cable got crimped or run over.
Or it got wet. You know, things get wet out in nature, and particularly like salt water, salt spray, salt mist can really wreak havoc with electronics, and something just might, well, fritz out and be dead. Well, do you have a backup?
You might lose or damage a SIM card that has your important data plan on it. You might also have a T-Rex emerge from the fossils near you at your state park that you're at, and it might come and eat your hotspot device.
These things may or may not happen, but things that do happen, it's like your antenna cable just vibrates loose over time, and suddenly your connection's very unreliable until you get back in there and, oh, wait, just needs a quarter more turn, and suddenly your connection's working again.
And then there are outages. These are things that aren't caused by your stuff, but the carrier that you're on, your network provider, may just go down. It might be a nationwide outage like we saw recently with AT&T. It went out for like 4 or 5 hours through much of the nation.
Through the entire country because somebody pressed the wrong button on the software. T-Mobile has also had nationwide outages. Starlink has had worldwide outages where everybody on Starlink around the world is offline for a couple hours. These things happen. Now, even though these companies are billion-dollar companies and they invest a fortune in reliability, regional outages and nationwide outages and global outages do occasionally happen. And in particular, more localized outages are actually fairly common because, well, they have to do maintenance on the cell towers. And we've seen trucks pull up, guy gets out, climbs up the cell tower, and flips it off. And you might be thinking you've got the best signal in the world because you're parked in the shadow of the cell tower. Well, you have best signal until they turn it off because they're upgrading something or fixing a wire.
Yep. And then, things happen sometimes. Squirrels and animals might chew through cables going to
backhoes.
And storms might go out and temporarily bring down a local network. So there's a lot of things that are outside of your control that can impact one of your primary ways online. So how do you go about getting redundancy in your setup? And that's something that we specialize over at the Mobile Internet Resource Center, is helping our members figure out their unique needs and finding that unique balance of how many cellular data plans, how much equipment they should carry with them, and how much they need to know about enhancing and tweaking and optimizing their setup to get these redundant options integrated into their setup.
And also a big part of redundancy is how automatic do you want it to be? Do you want to have your systems automatically fail over or combine multiple connections behind the scenes? Or are you okay with manual emergencies of like, oh, hey, I'm offline on this one thing. Let me just pull out my phone and create a hotspot and switch to another carrier that way. So how seamless do you want things to be? If you've got a bonding router, you might not even know that one of your main carriers has been down all day or that you have no coverage or major congestion issues because you're automatically flowing over onto your other options. But that's more complicated than a lot of other people need.
Right. So you might decide that you need a very reliable setup. You want a lot of tools in your arsenal. You're going to be managing a lot of different equipment options, a lot of different data plans. All the costs stack up with this. And you need to know how to use the various, like if you choose multiple antennas, how to best optimize them. If you're using a cellular booster, when is best to bring that in? You might decide that you want even backup equipment, maybe a spare hotspot or a spare router or spare blank SIM cards in case a data plan goes out and you need to activate another one remotely.
Cheap insurance.
Yep. So there's a lot of things that you can do to build in redundancy into your setup. We have a guide that goes along with this video. Go follow up with that. There's some more ideas in there for you to follow up with. And if mobile internet is an important part of your lifestyle, and the word reliable is an important part of your lifestyle, please do consider becoming a member so that you can go further with our content. We can help you find the right unique balance for your needs, and you can save some money in the process too, because some of this equipment our vendors give our members special discounts on.
Yes. You can have a very redundant, reliable setup without spending a lot, just thinking things through and being smart about how things fit your needs and finding the balance that works for you. You do not need to go over the top, and you could still get a whole lot of redundancy and reliability with a small investment.
So let us know in the comments if you you ever gotten to a new location, you thought you had your mobile internet set up, and one of these scenarios happened to you? Let us know in the comments. So how common is it that you run into issues with your mobile internet setup? Until next time, however, may the bandwidth and no T-Rex dinosaurs be with you.
May the bandwidth and no flooding, salty spray be with you. And redundancy, may redundancy in particular be with you. Always jump out of the airplane with a reserve parachute.
These videos are brought to you by our premium members, our mobile internet aficionados. They make it possible for us to track this news and create these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, or better yet, consider becoming a member yourself.